Welcome back to the fourth episode of the Journey Management Playbook. If you somehow arrived here without first listening or watching to the previous three episodes, I highly recommend you do so. The links are in the show notes, but we'll also do our best to catch you up on what's going on here. This is a series where we are going deep into journey management. We really take the time to show you the details, the nuances, the things that you usually don't get to see in those quick bite-sized tutorials on journey mapping or journey management. So brace yourself because this is going to get really detailed. The goal is here to really use journey maps and journey management in a pragmatic way. We do not want to make this into a research study project that takes 6 months and then you end up with a beautiful visualization but haven't actually impacted the business or made your customers happier. So we are really here to show you how you can use journey maps in a pragmatic way that solve business challenges and customer challenges. So that's what we're doing here. As in the previous three episodes, I'm joined by Tingting Lin from TheyDo. We'll do a proper introduction in a second, but Tingting, we've had three episodes going on. What can we expect from this fourth edition?
Yeah, thank you, Marc. So, in the last episode, we went through how to transform the overwhelming and unstructured customer data into a clear, actionable journey. And we also did the first high level verification on the structure level. So, in this episode, we want to go deeper and discuss how to verify and tag each and every insight generated by AI so that you're fully confident with insights and you truly make them yours. And here in the end of this episode, you should be able to go through a step-by-step process for how to collaborate with AI with the verification and tagging of insights. And then also in the end, we will show you after this hard work, what can you do with it that is a filtering and focusing on the most critical part of your journey.
Nice. A lot of stuff to come. You mentioned the word overwhelm, and I briefly want to touch upon that because I'm actually experiencing something like that myself. In this series, we are looking at my business, my circle community. We are looking at the offboarding journey. The business challenge that we're trying to solve is reducing churn. But at the same time, I'm also working on a different journey. I'm looking at the onboarding journey for my community, like in parallel. And I am sort of feeling a little bit anxious starting with that journey. I have a lot of data, I have a lot of insights, but then we are getting to the point where, like, okay, how do we structure this journey? Like, what are the correct lanes? How many tags should I add? Like, there's so much to decide up front that you sort of get paralyzed and you're like, I don't know, like it's really hard to put things into a journey. So what I wanted to comment on is, I think this is something that a lot of us, even experienced service design professionals, experience. Like we know how this works, but nevertheless, we're sort of at the start afraid to make mistakes that will cause pain in the end. So what we're trying to do with the series really just show you where to start. Like this is a good starting point, and you can always iterate. You can always make things better. So it's interesting that I'm at the same time going through this process by myself without your help. Thinking, does this sound recognizable?
It's so recognizable, I would say. And one common pitfall a lot of experienced service designers would fall in is this overstructuring, overthinking, over perfection, because you could spend really a lot of time if you really chase for perfection. But the risk is you're going to delay the real impact of your
Yeah,
work.
yeah. And it's so hard to find that balance between just starting and experimenting your way forward versus trying to get the perfect structure. But yeah, I'm going through the process, and if I'm going through the process, I can imagine a lot of us listening here as well. Tingting, we haven't done a proper introduction, but I hope people will know by now who you are. Again, if somebody just tuned in, could you give a brief intro about what you do, who you are, and what is TheyDo? That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, sure. So first, let's start with TheyDo. So TheyDo is an AI-powered journey management platform. We enable enterprise-wide experience intelligence. And what does that mean? We unify the data in the context of the journey so that people can prioritize opportunities, align execution, and drive measurable impact. And we are going to run this episode also in TheyDo, so you will also see what TheyDo look like as a software. And myself, my name is Tingting. I'm Principal Journey Management Coach at TheyDo. My primary role is really to help our customers to get the best value and ROI of TheyDo. And I do this by coaching and offering my experience and best practices of journey management as an approach to apply into different customer context. And then once we are clear about what is a best way forward regarding journey management, then we can talk about like which feature of TheyDo would be matched or supporting what processes inside that approach. So this is how we do it. We meet where you are and we share our experience and expertise for your success.
And you have seen so many examples, so many successes and pitfalls, which makes you an ideal candidate to do this journey with me. And I'm really happy that you're still here with me and guiding us through this. So again, a reminder, this episode is going to be very heavy on actually showing things inside a tool like TheyDo. So it's going to be very visual. If you are listening to the audio version of this episode, the podcast, we will make sure to have accompanying slides with screenshots so that you can follow along with the timestamps. But I feel like if you want to get the full experience, it's probably best to watch this episode on YouTube. Now, let's rewind a little bit and remind ourselves, where are we? So, episode 1, we talked about what is a business challenge. What is a good business challenge? We took my business as an example, as a case study. I run a community for in-house service design professionals. And one of the challenges that I have, as with many businesses, is that you want to make sure that customers or members don't leave unnecessarily, like you want to reduce churn. In the second episode, we looked at, okay, so what do I know about my members? And maybe even more specifically about the members who are leaving. So what kind of data do I have? Qualitative data, quantitative data. And then in the third episode, we looked at how do you build your first journey? How do you put that structure in place so that you can start creating a context to understand the data? Not yet to come up with solutions, but really to start to find understanding that's going to help you prioritize, that's going to help you, well, prioritization is, I guess, an important factor. Was that a good summary, Tingting, or did I leave something out?
No, I think that is perfect summary. And it's also a good segue into today's content. So after you have generated a journey and have all the insights, you prioritize the insights and place the insights in the right place of the journey, which was in the last episode. What's next? What can we do next?
You mentioned a really important point. In the last episode, we also showed the power of using AI to process structured, unstructured data, transcripts, survey results, open-ended data. Data that is usually quite hard to process, but using AI, you're now actually able to feed in that data and press a button and either get a fully generated journey from scratch, or if you already have a journey, make that journey enriched through the data you've put in. So last episode, we ended with something that looks like a classical journey map with insights, with opportunities, with stages. We like you mentioned, verified, okay, are these the right stages? Are things in the right place? And we left off saying, okay, now next time we need to really zoom in on the individual quote unquote card level and start verifying that to see if AI made some good judgment calls. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. Just one caveat. We haven't gone into the opportunities yet. So now we have a journey that is quite simple and with the phases and steps, of course, and a journey title. And then we also have various insights across the journey steps. So that's what we get from AI. So in one way, it also address a little bit your issue, Marc, about the overwhelming effect. So this AI journey is actually quite simple. It has only one lane with insights. So that's the starting point, and we can build upon that little by little.
Okay. So where do we go from here, Tingting?
Yeah. So of course, like we promised in this episode, we will focus on what's next after we get this structure. So let's dive into it. If you can see my screen now, I'm opening this journey. And if you remember last time, we have 2 journeys available. I will go through them in different sections today, but we basically have a scenario 1 journey where we actually ask the AI to generate the new journey with your qualitative data. And then we have a scenario 2 journey, which we started with a fixed structure from our workshop. And we started also with those insights coming out from our own analysis. And then we ingest the data to AI and ask AI to update and find new evidences of this journey. So these are 2 very different journeys using the same data source, and we will jump between them in this episode. Let's start from this scenario 1 journey. So in the last episode, we have already taken a look at the phases and steps. That is a structure AI generated based on the data. And then we also take a look on a high level, these insights, and place the insights to the right steps if we feel it's not correct by AI, which is possible always. And that's why it's so important to verify and refine it, right? So, and we also, like this one, we also extend the scope of the insights if we find it's relevant across different steps as well. So that's where we started from. And by the way, we have already a beautiful experience curve or graph that is based on the experience impact generated by AI as well. So this is what we already get. And the next step, of course, we need to go into these insights, try to understand them, and also correct them. So that's what we call verification. So verification is the step that you check the AI generated content. So as I mentioned, we have already verified on the journey level. And now it's time to verify the card level or building block level
building block.
Of information. So which part of the information in the building blocks are generated by AI?
Hold on, Tingting. You're going too fast. I need to slow you down. So what we're seeing is a journey structure which has been initially generated by AI and verified by you and me in the previous episode. So we have confidence in that these are the right phases, the right steps, that the cards are more or less in the right place. We're seeing about, 10, 15 different cards. I can imagine that if you have a bigger journey, again, this is just for my onboarding experience. If we would maybe look at the onboarding or the full member experience, we would have maybe 50 or 100 cards. Then the question might arise, okay, great, I've put them in the right place, but now I need to go into the building block level. Like, where should I do all 100? Do I need to check all 100? Like, which building block do we start with first?
Very good question, Mark. And this is also a good reminder of one important point we discussed last time. So, how to prioritize your insight to verify them. Because I totally agree with you. Many organizations, they're doing continuous research. And for example, they're collecting the service center transcriptions. And that is a lot of data. So if you update your journey daily, weekly, you might get hundreds of insights per journey. And then, of course, if you use AI to generate these insights, you have saved a lot of time in analyzing the raw data. However, you can spend more time to collect more data and also to verify and enrich your insights. So, of course, verification and tagging and enrichment is very time consuming as well, like what we will show you. So, it's very important to prioritize. And in the last episode, we have mentioned 3 ways of prioritization. So, we can quickly go through them here as well. So the first way is to look at the different types of insights. So as you see here in this journey, you have 4 types. You have the gains, you have needs, you have observation, and pains. So these are the types identified by AI as our standard types. So I've seen many organizations prioritizing pains to start with, because pains are urgent. Pains are something you need to deal with, whereas other like gains, needs, and observation are good to have, good to understand. So this is one simple way to prioritize. You can start with these pains to go through them. And the second way is, if you have good idea which steps or phases of the customer journey you want to start with. For example, Marc want to really understand the churn problem. So the moment of churn would be here in the membership decision. So in this case, you can also focus on or start from a certain phases and steps. And of course, you can configure your journey to further focus your view as well. You can toggle to focus on certain phases and steps. So that's the second way. The third way here is the most interesting, I think, is to look at these insight scores. We have explained the insight scores in the last episode as well. And then also Eustace has an even deeper explanation about this. So we're not going to repeat here. But looking at these numbers, you can for sure start from the most impactful one, the highest scored one. So that's usually a very good starting point. And if you are having data ingested into Journey AI and create new insights and enrich existing insights continuously in a cadence, these insight scores will also evolve over time. So the interesting thing is the top 10 insights, which you can actually filter here according to the score, they will also evolve. So it ensures that over time, you're always focusing on the most important and valid and relevant insights. So I encourage you to try all these prioritization methods depending on your need and your context. But then my personal favorite is this prioritization by the impact score.
Nice. So the impact score, you mentioned Justas, that's your colleague. I did a whole video with him on Journey AI, and then in that video we explain what the algorithm sort of is, or what the intelligence is behind calculating that impact score based on a lot of factors, and sort of this magically, quote unquote, rolls out of your raw data, and it gives you a first starting point. Like again, if you have 100 building blocks, 100 insights, like you can filter the top 10, and I think that's going to give you a pretty good starting point. So that's what we're doing here as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And Don't worry if you are only focusing on top 10. Usually you're focusing on the most important insights, and don't worry that the other 90 insights are not touched upon because they might emerge next week, right? So
yeah. So let's
Good.
should we just look at one of these insights and see how we can verify it?
Yes, for sure. And then, like we mentioned, we can start from the highest score of all insights. So, because this journey is rather simple, we can look at this insights or find this insights immediately. If you have hundreds of insights, remember to use a filter always to focus on the insights you want to prioritize. So let's start with this one because
Hold on,
it has
Tingting.
yeah.
And you mentioned the score. A higher score in this case means that it has a higher impact. A lower score means it has a lower impact. Correct?
Yes, and it actually include two aspects. So it was a small error. I said it's not impact score, but it's insight score. It was
There we
my
go.
mistake. Sorry. So it's insight score, and insight score is considering both impact factor and the reliability. So we already mentioned last time the impact score is from the sentiment, how strong the emotion is, and then the reliability is from the source, how diversified is your source, and how many quotes per source you have. So according to these scores are automated by AI.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we have an insight with the title "Membership Cancellation Reasons." Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And it has a high score. Yes.
It has a high score. And here we need to also understand which part of this insight is generated by AI. So then we know what to verify, right? So here, actually, the title, the type, the initial experience impact, the score, the details, and the quotes linked to this insight. So these parts are generated by AI. So we can start from the title, but usually one practice I've seen across the customers would be we leave the title as it is because it's usually a good summary of what is this insight about. So then here we know the insight is about the reasons for membership cancellation. And then the next step is, of course, to look at like what reasons has AI found out and what is this all about. Then we can naturally go into these details, have a read, and try to understand whether this aligns with our own experience and understanding. So remember, AI is looking at the raw data. That's usually from the voice of customer or other research data that's from the customer point of view. But you, as a professional in service design or CX, you also have very good hunch, experience, and knowledge about your business. So make sure you triangulate your own expertise with the research outcome. And that's how you can read and understand this part, and of course, make any updates whenever necessary.
Is there a way to see whether or not, maybe I'm jumping ahead, whether or not this has already been maybe verified by my colleague? So let's say you and I are working on this project and we do not want to duplicate work. Can I see if you have already verified this insight?
Yeah, that's actually from the status. And we will go through that in a moment in the tagging part. But you're right. We can always use different ways to mark where we are in the process, in the workflow. So we can also collaborate with others, especially async, because nowadays many of us work across different time zones, and we also want to avoid meetings if not necessary. So asynchronous work is really important, and that requires us to have a good workflow that we can communicate with each other with different tagging and marks, so everybody can understand where we are, who we are collaborating with. So stay tuned. We will go to that point.
Okay, cool.
All right. And another interesting thing is here, before I make any changes, I will see the insight is actually created by AI. And with this icon, we know that it's not yet touched by human. So, but if I make any changes here, the icon might disappear, and then I will see also if the latest update is by myself at a certain point of time. So this is also, of course, a natural way you can track where who has made the latest update.
Yeah, so you can track the updates, and we will use status to indicate whether or not this one is sort of fully verified. Okay.
Yes.
So should we actually look at the details, or do you feel that we need to do something else?
What would you do, Marc, if you look at this detail? Because this is about your business.
I would probably read through this and see if I recognize these things, if they align with my experience. So what I'm seeing is a textual description of key points and user needs and the behavior. So it says users are canceling or pausing their circle membership primarily due to increased personal and professional commitments that limit their ability to participate. Like, that is the starting point, and then it splits it out into key points and user needs.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes some part of these are hard to understand. So then you will need to trace it back to the original quote. For example, here there is a point that someone said they are struggling with the time conflict, and then they are also having difficulty attending sessions due to workload. So here, what does workload mean? So there could be, Marc, I'm just interpreting from my point of view. I'm not experienced in your business, but the workload for me could mean the workload participating in your member activity. It could be also the workload I have in my own work that prevent me to do anything else.
Yep.
Right?
So there might be some ambiguity in the description that needs clarification. One thing thinking about this when I look at this, so it has, in this case, a bullet list of 4 points for user needs. Sometimes I can imagine that you would want to split those needs out into their own building blocks instead of having everything in one encompassing building block.
Yeah, this is also a very important point, because especially the highly scored insights, sometimes they will carry a lot of information. They will have a lot of quotes. Here you see 30 quotes, and probably sometimes it's about different topics. And as a business, as a professional, you would like to split them into different insights instead. So you can for sure do so. What you can do is you can just create a new insight and then distribute these information into different insight cards manually.
And when I do that, so let's say there is a user need of... there is a need of flexible options to pause or cancel. Let's say if I move that into a new card, into a new insight building block, will the supporting quotes automatically move, or what happens?
Yeah, unfortunately, it wouldn't move at the moment. But then what you need to do is you actually need to go into the actual quotes and understand among the 30 quotes, which ones are related to this need about flexible membership option. So you need to go through all of them and see which one is actually referring to that, and then create a new card to link to these original quotes. So that's quite manual. So at the moment, the AI tend to aggregate a lot of similar
clusters.
information, cluster them. So we encourage our customer to, if it's possible to follow this cluster, it is of course the best. But if it's not possible, you can also manually create related insights to this one. So you can add insights, either existing insights or create related insights.
And I can imagine you showed us the last time, and just as showed that in the Journey AI video as well, that you can mine existing data sources. So probably if you add a new card with this need and you mine the data again, it will sort of find supporting quotes for that new card, correct?
Yes, exactly. So one good practice we see is actually to start with your own structure, like this scenario too. So we have all these cards from our mirror board here, from our discussion. So we transfer the information from this mirror board, some of these information, to the journey itself. And then the starting point is fixed, a fixed structure. So Journey AI will read the title, the description of journey, the phases and steps, and your existing insights. So in this case, Journey AI has a little bit more context than the other journey where it starts from the clean slate. So there, it's also better to distribute these insights into the right existing manual insights. For example, with these insights, we see quotes added to the existing insights, which didn't have quotes. So in this way, you are actually enriching your own insights and validating them in a way whether they are having the data to support them.
Yeah, so it's you have to treat this like a back and forward. So you input data, or you start with your own data, you let AI think about it, correlate it with what it knows about the data that you have put in, you review it, you make some adjustments, then you maybe run AI again to mine the data, to build. Like it's not a one-off, like it's going back and forward, correct?
Exactly. So with this process, of course, journey mapping is not anymore a one-off workshop or one-off project. It will be live. You will ingest more data. You will see the emerging themes and different importance of different insights. So it's becoming much more live in a way and pertinent to the as-is situation.
And a lot more fun, because if you keep feeding it more data, you will see that data trickle into your journey get more confirmed, get more less based on assumptions. So yeah, I can imagine, I can totally see how that would be much more interesting. So Tingting, we looked at the title, we looked at the description. For now, let's roll and say that this description is okay. Let's say this is, I can relate to this. We don't need to split it out for now, maybe later. Okay, this is a good description.
Yeah, good. So as I mentioned a little bit before, this, for example, something in the description you want to understand more, like what does it mean by workload? So at that time, you can actually go to the quotes to understand what it means and understand whether it really makes sense. Because then we see, okay, increasingly difficulty to find time. And then we can also see a lot of challenging time at work, for example. So the workload probably means, if you go through all the quotes, it probably means the workload from their own work side. So then by triangulating the quotes with the description, you can also have a deeper understanding of what AI means. Because what we want to avoid when using AI is just to create something visual and it looks like full, it looks beautiful as a journey, but I don't understand anything with AI and I let go. We don't want that. We want the journey become truly yours. You have deep understanding, you have verified and corrected the AI outcome, and it's a collaboration. It's not just a generated journey beautifully out there, right?
So this list of quotes, I'm seeing sort of sad faces and normal faces. I'm going to guess that those indicate the sentiment that was expressed in that quote. And when you hover over them, I see an actual quote, and that is referring to the original script, right?
Yes, exactly. So it's from an original exit survey or from the goodbye email of yours.
Something like that.
These these are the actual feedback of members when they leave the circle community. So we can actually hover over them and see the original quote. And each quote here is a summary of the original. And if you hover over the face, here you will see the experience impact. So this is exactly from the sentiment analysis of each quote. And we have a positive, we have negative, and we have a neutral sentiment. So then based on that, you will have different smileys.
Yeah, and we don't see a positive one because we're dealing with a pain.
Exactly.
And I'm curious, Tingting, we just talked about the ambiguity around workload. It would be a lot of fun if we could ask Journey AI to clarify that for us, because it has all the data. Can we talk to the data through TheyDo at the moment?
If you ask Eustace, he will say it's on the roadmap. Okay. Actually, we do have it on the roadmap, but it's not here yet. So chat with Journey AI to understand more about
Exactly. Yeah. How awesome would it be, instead of manually going through these quotes, just asking Journey AI, what do you exactly mean with workload in this case? Right?
Yeah.
Or can you clarify workload? So that's coming. Like, that doesn't surprise me. That's coming. Okay. We'll do a video on that as well. Okay. Details, list of quotes related to the raw data. Let's assume that these quotes are okay.
And by the way, if you have multiple input source, you can also see them here. And when you collapse them, you will see the actual quotes. And one thing you could do in the verification of quotes is to unlink them.
And so link a new one. I see a link quote button, so you can do
link
both.
A new one as well. Yes. And then when you are linking new one, there is also this field. So if you have an own note, like a manual note that you have in your notebook, you can also add them. So you can add a note here and add new note. So then this become your own note. So you have a section there. You can also give it experience score. So then it will also impact the overall score.
Yeah, and this is a really important step.
Yeah. So this you already see the collaboration between your own understanding, your own note, and the AI understanding. So it become one step further towards yours.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so here we have shown how you can contribute to the source of an insight and validate the insight quotes. So what's next?
Tingting, hold on, sorry to interrupt you. Silly question. But do we also have to verify whether or not this is a pain? Or can we trust that is okay?
Yeah, so that's exactly what's the next we want to look at. Like I mentioned here, we need to understand which part is made by AI, and we have already gone through the details and quotes. And the next one is exactly the type. So here, like I mentioned, AI will give it a type among the 4 types. So here you can, of course, create your own, define your own types in the taxonomy. But for now, AI works on the 4 types. So it will analyze each insight and make a judgment. What type is it? So for this one, it's made it as a pane.
And
so this is something you can, of course, verify and change.
When you click on it and somebody is looking at the video, they will see more types, but those are custom types that I have added myself. And like you said, these will not be taken into consideration by AI, but you can have them if you want more flexibility.
Yeah, and especially if you want to change the AI insights into some of these types, you can, of course, do it. Like, for example, trend, journey management process, activity, these are not AI, the types that AI work with. But if you think this is important as part of your workflow, you can change these into yours as well. But I have to say, almost all customers, 95+%, are happy with the 4 types that AI is working with. And if you want to check which 4 types AI work with, you can just click on this little icon next to the insight lane. And if you go to Mine Insights, you can see the types that AI is working with. So basically, gain, pain, need, and observation. Of course, Eustace will also tell you it's on our roadmap to have more flexible and customized types. So stay tuned.
So yes, this is a pain point. We can agree that that type is correct in this case.
Yeah, good. And then the next one, of course, you're not able to change the insight score itself because it's automatically calculated and it has a lot of factors that is impacting it. But you can indeed look at the experience impact score for this overall experience, overall insight. We have already checked that each quote can have own experience impact. But then what AI does is AI give an impact for each quote and then come up with a score and come up with an experience impact. Currently, the logic is if it's a pain, then it gives it -1. If it's a gain, it gives it as +1. And if it's a need or like neutral observation, then it's 0. So in this case, it gives us more flexibility to have your own definition. So if you think this membership cancellation is a big pain for your members, like because you talk to them, you have also understood them from other interactions, you are fully qualified to make your own estimation and judgment. So here you can use this slider to change this experience impact for this overall insight. Of course, if you also take into the consideration of the AI outcome of quotes and details, this will be even better. So make your own estimation here. And as you see, this will also change the experience graph in the journey.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So we talked about the type and the experience impact here. The last bits of automation here is not actually made by AI, but by the system with a simple logic. That is the owner of the insight. So whether you are creating an insight manually or you create and generate an insight by AI, so the one that is responsible of generating this insight will be automatically marked as the initial owner. So I generated this journey with AI, or I create this insight manually, then I'm automatically tagged as the original owner.
And when you say you created it, like, what does that mean? That you press the button that said mine data? Is that what it is?
Yeah. So there are different ways. So I can create a journey with AI. So all the insights are owned by me originally. And I can also create these insights manually. Like in this scenario, I actually copied all these insights from Miro, and no AI is involved here, but I am also tagged as owner because I started this.
So we are getting maybe into episode 6 or 7 where we talk about workflow, but when would you want to change an owner?
Not necessarily considering the whole workflow, but in this early stage of research, you probably already have a team or a person responsible at this point. So you can indeed use that, tag that person into this insight if you know who is responsible. For example, if you are importing a source that is from the user research, and you have a UX researcher that did that research, but you create the journey as you create the insight as part of your journey, then you can confidently change the owner into that researcher, and then the researcher can come back and do the validation or verification him or herself instead of you, right?
Or if you have, I can imagine somebody who who is responsible for the experience in that specific stage of the journey.
Exactly.
Right? Then you can have a journey owner, but you can also have a journey stage owner somewhere. Yeah.
Yes. So now we're talking about collaboration.
Yeah,
so
we'll get to that.
We will get to that, but the owner is indeed one important feature for collaboration, especially asynchronously with your team and across different teams.
So make me responsible for membership cancellation reasons.
Very good idea. So here we can click on it and search Marc. So as Marc is an admin, editor, contributor here, so we can always find him and just simply tag him.
There we are. Okay.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so here we actually have finished the verification process. Is there any questions? Because we have gone through all the AI generated and automated contents, and we can go to the next step if you don't have other questions.
Okay, so let's summarize. We have opened an important insight that had a high insight score. We looked at the textual description. We looked at the underlying quotes. We checked whether or not this is really the pain type. We set an owner and we verified and adjusted the experience impact score so that it shows up differently. And of course, we double checked the title. That's all, right? That's what we've done so far.
Yeah, exactly. And we also touched upon who is going to do this verification, right? That's the owner. And you can define the owner in the first place, or in the end, it depends on your responsibility and also how the workflow goes in your company. And for example, you can define multiple insights for
so
the
hold
owner.
on, how did you do this? How did you select multiple building blocks? Because that's interesting.
Yes, so this is something we will go through again and again here. I will show you. So when you hover over a card of a building block, you will see this select insight or select icon here. You can also see this for opportunity solutions and so on. So this is the batch editing feature. So you can select multiple. For example, we are now assigning the owner of all these insights to Marc. So you don't need to open them one by one, and you can just select them here and then change owner. So this black box will allow you to change a lot of things, including tags, types, status groups, persona, and owner.
I can imagine that Tingting combining this with a filter, where you sort of filter specific insights by type or by channel or by stage, and then really quickly assign the correct owner for that. That's a useful feature.
Yeah, so that's why we need to do all this work of tagging as well. Exactly. As you said, tagging is to allow people to find the focus quickly. And we can use these batch editing to tag things quickly for different purposes. For example, here we just tagged owners. And then if Marc come to this journey, and he can then filter the owner. And I want to only look at the insights related to myself. So Marc can just choose himself. And
we didn't click the other one, but I'm seeing that's good. I just have one responsibility. I like that.
Exactly. So it works in this way, and then you can focus on this insight to do the verification, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned tagging. There are tags in TheyDo. Is that what you mean with tagging, or do you mean something else with tagging?
Yeah, so tagging, when I say tagging, it's really about structure via taxonomy and several different tags you can use. So we do have tag, let's say that's a global tag. You can, if you open any building block, you can see the properties. So one of the property is tags. So that's particularly for global tags that you can create to tag to all your building blocks. But then we also can have other tags. Like in this example, we have the types.
Okay,
So all these are tags.
Okay, you call those tags as well. Yeah. Maybe I can imagine that somebody would use the word properties.
Yes.
Right.
We can use the word of property, and for certain tags, we use the word of taxonomy, where you can actually do the setting if you are admin. So if we go to the taxonomy, then you see you can define your tags, statuses, groups, and types.
Yeah.
So these are the particularly the taxonomy that is structuring your building blocks.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that in our insight card, we have properties that we haven't yet addressed, like status and persona. Is this the moment that we should look at those, or do we skip those and just move on verifying other insights?
Yes, exactly. So we have just done the verification. While verification is to check the content generated by AI, the tagging on the other hand is really to add structure via taxonomy. You have already seen like how it can be used by filtering. So that's why we need to spend some time on these different tags. So the taxonomy is a tagging system. So we are able to index the data later on in your journey.
It sounds really complex. Hold on, Tingting. Taxonomies, tags, I'm lost. Can you make this practical for me?
Yeah. So if I make a metaphor, it is like dealing with a long to-do list without any focus versus a neatly organized project management system, a metaphor that you really like, right? So by adding these different tags or property, you're able to index them later on. So they become more organized as part of a management system rather than a flat list of contents.
So what we're doing, if I understand this correctly, following your analogy or metaphor of the project management system, in order for me to see what I need to focus on, I need to categorize and organize my to-do items either by priority, either by deadline, or by project type. So I need to add this, you call it tagging. Maybe I would use the word metadata, and somebody else might use the word properties. Like we need to sort of give some additional information to our to-do items, and our to-do items in this case are insights. So we are enriching them so that later we can actually have a filtered view. Is that what we are doing?
Exactly. Okay. So here...
The semantics can be a bit confusing. Tagging, taxonomies, metadata, properties, but enriching your cards, your building blocks.
Yeah, and it's a feature for supporting the structure of your library, right? So what you can tag are actually all these empty fields of the card, including statuses and personas here. And if you add more property, you can also do a lot of more tagging here. So we are going to focus on the statuses, personas, groups, and tags here. So first, let's start with status. And that's coming back to Marc, your question. How do I know where is my one of my card or my insight at in the workflow? Have I verified it? Have I tagged it? Have I validated? Is it ready for further analysis into opportunity? Or has my colleague done it? Right? So in this one, the owner is you. So if I go into TheyDo, I'm wondering, oh, Marc is owning this. Should I give him a call? Where are you? Where are you in this insight? Or should I just take a look at the status? Of course, it's easier to just tag it by status. So it's a good habit to update the status of your building block, not only insights, but also opportunity and solution when you're managing it. So now, let's say this card is originally enriched by AI, or is it an assumption? If we start with a manual insight or an empty insight, it could start from new or assumption, and then it goes to enriched by AI. And now, because we have gone through all the verification, we are confident, okay, this is verified by human.
And these statuses, are they provided by default inside TheyDo? And can I tweak them?
Yes. So we do provide out of the box default statuses, but we always encourage you to go to the taxonomy setting. If you are an organization admin or workspace admin, you're able to change the taxonomy here and just go to the statuses. And then you're able to define the statuses for all the building blocks. And here we are focusing on insight. So we navigate to insight and see what statuses we have here. And you are able to, of course, edit them, add more statuses, and also you can change the statuses into different categories and give a progress value. So as you see, this really reflects your own workflow in the end of the day when you have the right definition.
Yeah, so what's interesting about this and where it starts to really deviate from the classical journey map is that by using statuses, you can already see how this will help workflow, like getting work done. You need to see statuses change over time, right? If you're doing it well, statuses will change over time. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry for all the interruptions and deviations, but
no, but this is important in practice. So we see, for example, here in this journey, we have only one insight validated by human. So you will see this marked as compared to other unverified.
Yeah, so in the top right of the card, we're seeing an icon with a blue V and sort of a symbol indicating that that one has been verified.
Yes. And if you want to give every card a default status, you can also, again, batch select all of them and then give them a status of new or assumption or generated by AI or anything else according to your own status definition. So, for example, here we change everything by enriched by AI.
Or if it's Friday afternoon, you'll say everything is validated and go have weekend.
Yeah, so now suddenly you have all the insights with with valid status, and everyone can see where we are.
Nice.
And this is especially useful also in the second scenario where we start from our own assumption. So every other insight are having the assumption as a status, and then with the AI validated, not validated, but enriched insight, which has insight score, we give it a status of enriched by AI. So then you will also see the difference in this journey. And as you import or ingest more data, you will see more insights with AI linked quotes. So you can also update the status accordingly if you think this is useful for your workflow. Yeah.
Okay. Status. Yes. Important. Helpful.
Great. And let's go back to the same insights. And the next one is persona, actually.
Touchy
so
subject.
Here, tough.
And touchy, yes.
Exactly. But we are not going into the details of personas, how you create personas, but just personas as a pragmatic tag inside a building block. Here is insight. So you can actually relate or link personas to each insight. And then you can, this is part of your analysis of each insight, right? So Marc, in your case, I've seen different personas here, but probably in this, I leave the community circle, certain personas would be more important to differentiate than other personas. So that's where it can be surfaced here to understand which personas are more related to which insight.
Let's not go into personas in detail, but for my example in this offboarding experience journey, it would, for instance, make sense to look at the different needs and pains of members who are either getting their membership paid by their employer versus members who pay for the membership out of pocket. Like that might be a helpful distinction.
Exactly. So here in this one in particular, you have cancellations by both of the member types, let's say. So we can tag both of the personas here. And then, by the way, we can also add these personas to our journeys. So this will be then contributing to the experience graph. As you see, then they become part of the legend in the experience graph. You can start comparing the experience between the different personas if you configure to have the individual personas. But here we have data only for aggregated for now. And you can also see the personas already on the card. And for some insights, for example, we have membership payment issues here, where the idea is the employer are no longer willing to pay. So this is obviously related to the persona of professional member, whereas some members encounter affordability issues, and because they pay out of their own pocket. So this is then related to the personal members.
Yep.
Yeah. So we can easily define them inside the card, but as you can see, you can also batch edit them if you are looking at the journey as a whole. So you can define the personas from here as well.
And this is another example where you can't leave everything up to AI. You have to sort of still have a deep understanding of what's going on, who your users are. So your AI is not going to make you obsolete. It's just going to help you a lot with laborsome and quote unquote mundane work.
Yeah. Now we have tagged different personas to different insights. Then we are able to show different individual experience graph like this. So if we also have a definition of experience impact or different definition between the different personas, we're able to see the differentiated experience lane here. So you can compare across different personas. So that's about persona. And the rest of the properties are groups and tags. We will go through them quickly. So the groups here are basically the different teams or department or different business area. We don't want to call them teams because sometimes it's about a function, sometimes it's about a business area, and we don't want you to ship your organization chart here, but rather identify people with a certain label that they can relate to, and according to the language that everyone understands in your organization. So in this case, we have the most common functions here, and naturally, different functions will be interested in different insights. So that's where you can also engage with more people than the owner, him or herself.
I can totally see again how this would be helpful with the filtering options. Yeah. So let's say, what is this? Finance and operations are related to this.
Yes, exactly. So now we add the groups here, and we can also add a few other insights in the journey view. For example, these two regarding payment, we can add to the finance department as well. So let's save them for the filtering purposes. So this is as simple as that. But sometimes we need to also find a balance to make sure the list of groups is not too overwhelming. Don't
tagging everybody. Everybody is CEO. Everybody.
Yeah, and you can see you can actually select multiple groups here. That is different with types and statuses, which you can only select one because of the different logic. And then the last property is actually my favorite. That is a tag.
Emojis. I was so hoping for emojis. That would be my favorite one. Okay.
Yeah, we can also tag emoji, but this is this will give a nice visualization, but it doesn't really help in the filtering, and that's why we shouldn't put this for the cancellation for sure.
No.
So so let's take it away. But then for the tags, by the way, it's about the global tags, and the tags can be really used by different building blocks. So as you see, the types and statuses are really bound to the insights. So you can have different status flow for insight opportunity solution, for example. You can have different types for them. But then for the global tags, it is really applicable for all. So this is a place where you can define the important dimensions of your business that you want to reflect across the different building blocks, so you can answer some key questions from different stakeholders as well.
That's a lot of information, and maybe we need to dive deeper into how tagging could be useful across multiple building blocks in a future episode. But can you give a short example what it could mean here?
Yeah. So regarding the membership cancellation, for example, we see a lot of points about no time, too much workload to participate in the events and the sessions. So the pain points themselves might be related to these synchronized channels. So Marc has these different channels to engage with the community. And then we see some synchronized channels like events, for example. And we also see the Zoom, which you have the online sessions and events. So we can tag them with these synchronized channels to reflect, okay, the pain points are because they are synchronized. So that indicates probably a change of a channel will address some of these pain points already. So this is also part of your analysis.
Yeah, this is a whole rabbit hole of tagging. Okay, great. Shall we leave it at that for now?
Yeah, I think so. And we can leave, we still have this emoji. We will change that.
We'll update that, yes.
Into a crying face, but then now you see the emoji really can make the journey more vivid and visual, but it doesn't do anything with the filtering. So now we did a lot of tagging. What can we do with it? Like you mentioned, Marc, we can indeed answer business questions. So, for example, what are my professional personas or professional members encountering that is unique to them? So then you can filter by the persona of the professional member. And then we see, okay, these two insights are related to them.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
one of your colleagues are dealing with professional members, they will focus on these and then come up with opportunities and solutions.
And we have to assume that we also verified the other blocks from our top 10 that we identified at the start. We haven't done that now, but let's assume that we did. And in this case, you sort of selected the professional member persona. In normal situations, you might, for instance, ask the question like, what is the most profitable customer persona type? Or what is the persona that we want to grow our market share in, right? And that's how you start doing first type of filtering and prioritization.
Yeah, exactly. So assume that everything here is tagged with a persona. Then by filtering, you can understand, okay, what are the different pains and at different touch points my personas are encountering. Then you will see which persona you need to focus on to improve their experience to reduce churn.
Awesome. So still, again, it's not that there isn't anything to do. There's still a lot of work to do, the verification, especially when you're starting out, when you don't have a journey yet. This initial stage will take some time. But once you have verified your initial journey and you start enriching it and updating it, like the verification work starts to become less and less because, again, you already have a lot of data.
Yes, so you accumulate the value of your work over time. And remember, we just generated this journey in the last episode, and now we're enriching it with tags. And also by importing more insights, we will have more quotes, more evidence to support them. We will have a higher score when we have more varied input from AI. So yeah, it's evolving all the time and becoming better and better.
Is there something, again, a sidestep, is there something like a journey health score inside TheyDo?
We are developing that, actually. So
let me maybe explain what I'm thinking about with a health score. So a journey that is where it has a lot of verified or validated insights and opportunities, where it has a lot of enriched insights, that might be considered a more healthy journey, a journey that is frequently updated, that is quite recent, that would increase the health score. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah, we are actually developing that for real. So basically, it's about two things. One is a content. How rich is the content, right? How many, how much evidence you have here, and how many active building blocks you have. But it's also about the activity. How many people are collaborating in this journey? What is the last time someone opened this journey? What is the last time someone updated the journey? So yes, we are indeed developing this concept and this feature.
Okay, cool. Nice. Looking forward to it. So, Tingting, we now have a journey with a structure. We now have a journey with enriched insights. Our promise with this series is that it's going to help me improve my business and solve a business challenge. We're not quite there yet, correct?
Not yet, but we already have a good foundation.
So, what's next?
Then in the next episode, we are going to dive deeper into how to structure your journeys to allow data to flow to different directions, bottom up and top down. And that's related to your workflow, how you use the data to roll up to different levels, and then how you make decisions in the top-down fashion. So stay tuned.
Okay, that's going to be episode number 5. Before we wrap up this one, we would like to do something that we've been doing for the previous 3 episodes as well, looking at some of the questions from the audience. If you have any questions about what we have just discussed, make sure to leave a comment. Tingting, I think we have 1 or 2 that we can address as a bonus for everybody who stuck with us throughout this episode. Is there one that caught your attention?
Yeah, I think we have some good comments, both on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So, Marc, you can choose one. I think both of them are very interesting, insightful. One is from episode 2, the other one is from episode 3.
Yeah. So let's see. I'll take this one and I'll read it out. So the question was, or the comment, this is always a tough step. Open text feedback is packed with good stuff, but making sense of it can get messy fast. When you start mapping journeys with AI, do you run into noise or messiness in the data, or is it usually easy to spot what matters?
Isn't it a good question to wrap up our episode? So, in the last episode, we have already discussed how do we look at the journey on a high level to verify the journey structure, the phases and steps, and the positioning of the insights, and then how to prioritize the insights. So we focus on the most important thing, and regardless of the noises. And then today we further dive into those prioritized insights and show you how you can verify the content of AI and take away the noises, like unlink the unnecessary evidence and change the description, change the different the types and so on. And then you can also add the structure to your insight using the tagging system. So in that way, you're not only weeding out the noises, but you're also bringing the initial structure for the future indexing and future focusing. So make sure you go through the episode 3 and episode 4. These hopefully will answer your questions.
So yes, it gets messy, but it's doable. And prioritization, filtering, things like that help you to find your way through the mess and through the noise. Tingting, thank you again for guiding us through this 4th episode. I'm looking forward to episode number 5. We're getting there closer, step by step. I'm enjoying this process as I'm copying it, what we're doing here for the onboarding journey. So I'm doing it in parallel. So yeah, let's look forward to episode number 5.
Thank you, Marc, and looking forward to it.